like that, we are back. It's the Views from Section 400 podcast. Happy Thursday. It's Brian here with Jack and Will today. Special guest appearance. Matt is trying to find his wife at happy hour in Philadelphia right now. So we wish him the best of luck. Quick show today. We just have some winners and losers. And I don't know if you guys knew this, the Olympics are kicking off on Friday. Team USA currently favored minus 500 to win the most gold medals. So hopefully they don't fuck that up. But we got winners and losers. We got some Olympic talk. NFL training camp just kicked off. Some stories already heating up there. And we'll finish it off in honor of NFL training camp with the 4 and 400 of things we miss about football. Going to be a great show. Before we get into that, Jack, you have a message from our sponsors.
Yeah, while Matt's enjoying sips, I'm going to be doing the ad read today. So this episode, like every episode of Views from Section 400, is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the premier app to purchase tickets to any event you're going to this summer. Whether it's a concert, baseball game, or even the Olympics in Paris, SeatGeek has you covered. Listeners, you can get 20% off your first purchase by using our code ViewsFrom400 at checkout. Again, that's views from the number 400 at checkout. $20 off your first purchase, free tall boy. I mean, what's better than that? Use the code, people. Use the code. I'm going to Sam Hunt this Friday. I've already used the code for tickets there. And now winners and losers.
Yeah. All right, Jack, you did such a phenomenal job in your ad read debut. I'm going to go right to you. Give me your winner and your loser.
All right, thanks, Brian. Just because you said that, I'm going to save the best for last and save my loser for last, just because I know you're going to enjoy it. But let's start with the winner. It's going to be LeBron James. He was announced to be the United States flag bearer for the men for the Olympics coming up in Paris. He's the first male basketball player to do so. And I know you got some fun facts for us as well, Brian. So shout out LeBron, and let's take it away, Brian.
Yeah, the kid from Akron. He will not let you forget it. He is going to represent the United States in the opening ceremony. By the way, I think Snoop Dogg is commentating during that opening ceremony.
Jeez. Can't ever get away from him, seriously.
Him and Shaq are just always around on the TV.
I will say the one funny clip was like I don't remember which Olympics it was for, but it was like him and Kevin Hart, and it was like something about like he was like, Kevin, did you read the script? He's like, what do you mean script? He's like, yeah, you didn't read the book overnight? I read it overnight, and I had everything in it. And then he just like went on and on and on.
Yeah,
like, I didn't get no book.
I think that was the last Summer Olympics they did. And yeah, I guess they like Snoop Dogg so much he's coming back. I don't know about Kevin Hart though. But yeah, LeBron, the third ever basketball player from the United States to be the flag bearer. Don Staley did it in 2004, and Sue Bird recently did it in the last Summer Olympics. So, I mean, hey, LeBron, out of all people too, Steph Curry nominated LeBron James. So we're talking about our country unifying and the whole thing of unity. They were the biggest rivals of the 2010s, and look at that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of respect between LeBron and Curry.
I mean,
it is funny. Like I saw there's like a lot of memes of like when it's like LeBron and Curry. Like LeBron's like so happy when he plays with Curry. He's like, dude can't wait to fucking stay in the USA Olympics. Go back to playing with D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, right. His favorite game all season is the All-Star game when he gets to play with Steph.
Yeah.
It is still kind of crazy they never teamed up in the league.
I mean, they're the two best players in the league. Like, fuck a super team. They're the two best players in the league for the past decade. So you really want to see them together just dominating everybody?
It's just the fit would have been so perfect. And it's going to be so perfect in these Olympics. But it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. But let me get into my loser of the week. Brian, I'm happy you're here. I know Matt isn't, and he's not here to do this, so I will. My loser of the week is going to be the New York Giants. Yep. There was a new Hard Knocks showed the Giants GM, Joe Schoen. Can we just call him Joe Schmo? I like that more. So, yeah, their GM, Joe Schmo, he was asking his 3 kids, who they think the Giants should take with their first-round pick, the number 6 overall pick. The son is probably the only one who seemed to know football. The other 2 were daughters and the one didn't seem too interested. The other one was a child. But those 3 kids said Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and JJ McCarthy. No, nobody asked for a wide receiver. Nobody asked for Malik Neighbors. They all asked for a quarterback replacement for Daniel Jones. So Joe Schmo's kids are pissed. Daniel Jones is punching the air right now. He's going to hate a bunch of, teenagers and like a 4-year-old. So my question to you, Brian, is anybody happy in New York?
The Mets. That's about the only the only team that's happy in New York right now. But hey, I said I would boycott this offseason Hard Knocks, and I have because I just can't deal with these headlines and all these clips surfacing on my Twitter feed and Bleacher Report. It's all ridiculous. I mean, Malik Neighbors doesn't want to be there.
Yeah,
He made that as clear as day.
Brian, you made it pretty clear that you didn't want in on this Hard Knocks, and don't worry, me and Matt will make sure you hear it. And maybe even Will has a loser for you that might be revolved around the Giants. Let's see. We might get lucky today.
But
I wish.
before we get to you, Will, I mean, we've been doing these winners and losers for probably like 3-4 months now. I think the New York Giants have been named the loser of the week like 5 times.
Probably. They're probably like the most we've ever said, like over and over again.
Yeah, we're gonna need to run some analytics on that.
Yeah, we'll find that out, and I'll have to figure out why the context of each one. But yeah, Will, let's get to your winners and losers of the week.
Winners and losers of the week. Oh Jesus, I can't lie. I can only come up with losers right now. So I'm at least gonna do my losers for the first right
Give,
now.
give us
Give
two.
us two.
Give us two?
losers.
All right, I can give us two. My first loser of the week is the Las Vegas Raiders. Michael Gallup just straight up signed with the Raiders this year and said, fuck them, and just decided to just randomly retire. No reason at all. I don't know if I don't think there was anything saying that he was going to be injured or anything like that. He wasn't coming off any injuries, and the guy just signed a contract with the Raiders and then just said, fuck it. I don't know what it is with receivers signing with the Raiders and then just them just like Antonio Brown when he signed, and we all know how that ended, freezing his feet, tantrum over a helmet, getting cut in week 1 basically, or like the last week of preseason. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the Raiders definitely have it tough. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily on their franchise, just because you have to think about the fact that they have Devontae Adams, they have Jacoby Myers. Those two guys were really good last year with no quarterback help. They get Gardner Minshew, which helps, but they also drafted Brock Bowers. At best, Gallup is the 4th receiver in this offense. Again, that's not even talking about the percentages that goes to the run game. And what's that coach's name?
I was gonna say Antonio Pierce. Michael Gallup.
Pierce.
He probably went to one practice and saw him run the ball 40 times, and he's like, I don't want to do it.
This ain't for me, man. This ain't it.
Antonio Pierce is going to ground and pound Zamir White 25 times a game if he can, as long as they're not down and behind. So I'm not surprised. Gallup was going to have a smaller role than he had in Dallas, which is hard to believe. So might as well call it quits.
Yeah, really tough fall off for Gallup. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where he was being talked about as like the next great receiver in Dallas. And I think he played 6 years in the NFL, and the last 2 of those were basically just injuries and not playing.
He tore his ACL that big year he had. Like the next year after that, I think he like tore his ACL, and then he just wasn't the same.
In the playoffs, right?
I think so, yeah. He had a really good year. I remember he had like 800, 900 yards, and then they brought in Amari, I think, the next year, and then after that he was just like, nah.
I mean, look, we see these guys get injured in the NFL and all sports all the time, but especially in the NFL, torn ACL this, Achilles that, and then they're back the next year. So we kind of just expect these guys to be okay after a major injury. Not everybody recovers the same. Not everybody recovers like to what they used to be. It's not like a Tommy John where these guys start throwing 4 or 5 miles an hour faster afterwards. It's a tough injury, and yeah, he just never was the same, I guess.
Screw it. And then my other loser of the week, because I truly can't think of another winner of the week. My other loser of the week is going to be the NBA. They had the Amazon, so I guess
Oh,
TNT decided they were going to match the deal from Amazon, I believe, for the whole for the TV rights. And so NBA had the decision to go between TNT or Amazon, and they chose Amazon. And I remember we talked about this a few months ago when this first happened, where at first it was gonna be they were gonna give up the rights. TNT wasn't gonna be any part of this anymore. And then all of a sudden, like a few days ago, they're like, okay, we're gonna match Amazon's offer, but then they still went with the wrong decision and chose Amazon.
Yeah, I saw that that they actually weren't coming up with like a sufficient match, but
Yeah.
regardless of those semantics, it's such an L not having NBA inside the NBA anymore. I mean, they they made the NBA amazing. Like it already was. I love basketball. It's a great product. It's a phenomenal sport. But they made watching basketball and like the in betweens, which are usually pretty painful, just so entertaining.
I mean, it was an Emmy award-winning show, and it was a pre-game and post-game show. I mean, you see what they did, and then you look at like ESPN's coverage of the NBA Finals when they just take it up with
Awful.
commercials the whole time and talk for 30 seconds. Like they were the blueprint of how to make a show around sports. And I don't want to say it's over. I have a feeling either NBC or Amazon's going to find a way to get Shaq and maybe Kenny. I don't know if our guy Chuck will actually retire or not. And Ernie might have too much Turner stock to leave. But there's going to be some iteration of inside the NBA that comes back. At least that's the optimist in me. But it is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it will come back to some form, but if they don't have the same four, oh, it's just
Yep.
not going to be the same.
What was that Andy Bernard quote from The Office? You never know you're living in the good old days till it's gone or something.
The
Or
So, yeah.
one smart thing he says all show.
after he punches his hand to the wall. Um,
Yeah, no, inside the NBA has been amazing.
yeah, I guess on that kind of sad note, I'll get into a little happier note with my winner of the week. It's
Yeah,
going
well,
to be
before you do that, I just have to say, like, thanks for joining us and being like negative Nancy,
Debbie
Will.
Downer. I love it.
The double loser and the second loser just hitting right to the heart, man.
Yep.
All right, Brian, hopefully your winner brings us back to joy.
Yeah, I think my winner and loser will make you guys smile a little bit. But my winner is going to be I'm going to take you down to the mountains of Tennessee, the Hogwarts built on a haunted Indian burial ground, the University of the South, good old Swanee, my wife Rose's alma mater. They,
Oh,
I
I
don't know
know
if they
this.
found it or if somebody else found it, but there is a bylaw in the original SEC blueprint that states any founding member of the conference can rejoin the conference at any time. So that means Sewanee, Georgia Tech, and Tulane are allowed to re-enter the SEC whenever they please.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And
Can't wait to see Swanee versus Alabama. Gonna be
well,
great.
I'm happy you brought that up because Alabama's worst loss in school history happened in 1899 at the hands of the Swanee Tigers.
125 years ago. Jesus
Um,
Christ.
I'm going to tell you right now, Brian, we do not need another Tigers in the SEC. We already got LSU, we already got Auburn. Um, what I will say is Tulane, that would be a fun that would be a
Yeah.
fun school to add to the SEC. They're definitely going to be they're instantly become huge rivals with LSU. I don't know the geography of Louisiana enough to know how far away Baton Rouge is from New Orleans,
I
but
think it's about an hour and a half.
It's not
about an hour
far.
and a half.
It's not too
Yeah,
far.
I mean that creates an amazing in-state rivalry. It creates a great road destination for the SEC to go down to New Orleans. Depending on your opinion of New Orleans, but for a lot of people, it's like run down Vegas is the term that I've heard. So, fun place if you've never been. You gotta be careful, but it's a fun place.
Yeah, so I have a special place in my heart for that city. I did spend my bachelor party there.
Gotta say that.
Um, but I think they're kind of hanging on by a thread, and the tailgates for the Tulane versus LSU games might put that city in the
Underwater.
Yeah.
grave.
It's like
Yeah,
almost underwater, and now it's definitely fucked.
but you mentioned that in-state rivalry. You don't want to see Swanee take on the Vanderbilt Commodores in a 12
Oh,
p.m. SEC game?
oh God.
I just
12
can't
p.m.
say I
SEC
would.
game on ESPN Plus.
I know Vandy would like to see that. They might get like a 3-win season for once, but
Yeah, you put Swanee versus Vandy in the toilet bowl last week of the SEC, and the loser gets relegated to whatever D3 division Swanee's in right now.
I have no clue why Vanderbilt's in the SEC. I can't even tell you the last
yeah.
time Vanderbilt's been good. Maybe when they
Baseball
had
and
like Jordan
academics.
Matthews.
They weren't
Like,
even that good. They just had Jordan
yeah, they
Matthews.
probably weren't. Yeah,
Yeah, honestly, we should drop Vandy and go grab Memphis or something like that.
put them in the Conference USA or something. I mean, I will fucking rant about so long about teams being in specific conferences. Like the Big Ten, USC, actually, I'm not gonna even go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that would like take up
I'm
the
not
whole
gonna go down that
show.
rabbit hole. It's gonna drive me nuts.
All right, let's get back on track. Brian, give us your loser of the week.
Okay, you guys are gonna have to bear with me on this one.
Oh
Oh
God.
boy.
So it's the quarterback down in Cincinnati. After he arrived at training camp, he told his Bengals teammates, "You won't be practicing without me," as he's not afraid to practice at training camp. It's easy to lose yourself and forget it was only a few years ago Bengals stands were calling Burrow their Cinderella man. Of course, Burrow's monster season ended with a kill shot by the Rams, and he's been playing a game of till I collapse ever since. Joe Burrow is doing his favorite Eminem impression. He showed up, bleached hair and all. I don't know what to think about it. He looks like Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street in his high school days. I mean, this look is not great for Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally just saying this before we were recording because I didn't know until I was like scrolling trying to find a winner of the week and I couldn't. And that was like one of the first things I see, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, geez, I could have three losers of the week today, but yeah, no, it's not great.
Well, Brian, let me just clarify this. Your loser of the week is Joe Burrow because of his hair.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Will mentioned it before the show, and I was really worried he'd take it because I that monologue featured about seven Eminem songs in there, and that was really I just wanted to get that monologue in.
Oh, gee, okay. You take too much time
Um,
on these.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't until like the second to last or last Eminem song where I picked up on it. Um,
Yeah, I tried to make it obvious with the Till I Collapse at the end, but we had Without Me, we had Not Afraid, we had Lose Yourself, we had Stan, Cinderella Man, Kill Shot, and Till I Collapse.
yeah, there you go. Saying those back now, I'm remembering every single piece of that monologue. So thank you for that. I'm not going to give a comment on Joe Burrow's hair or his looks. So let's move on to the Olympics.
Right, we can do that. I mean, we can move on to the Olympics, and 11 Auburn Tigers are moving on to the Olympics, by the way.
War Eagle.
They start on Friday, and we're not going to go through anything because that would take us probably three podcasts worth of content. But I do want to get your guys' futures on some of the events, mainly the big sports that we normally talk about here. First up, we have tennis. We have the men's and women's tournament. The men's tournament, pretty wide open. I mean, you have the two Wimbledon finalists and Alcaraz and Djokovic. A lot of guys behind them. Women, you have Swiatek, probably mispronounced that. Colin normally is in charge of pronouncing that name. Coco Gauff, and then the rest of them. So I guess I'll start with you, Jack. Who are you liking in tennis?
Oh man, if Wimbledon didn't just happen, my pick would be Novak. But I mean, he just lost to the favorite Alcaraz, or as I like to call him, Alcatraz. So unfortunately, I got to go with the Spaniard and go with Alcatraz. And I understand that that's chalk. He's the favorite, but man, just won Wimbledon, what, last week, 2 weeks ago? That was just right around the corner. He's just primed to do it again. So give me Alcatraz. Out of the men's, And out of the women's, I'm going with the hometown teamer. I'm going with Coco Gauff. I may not enjoy everything that comes out of her camp off the field, but on the field, or excuse me, on the court, give me Coco Gauff. I hope she's okay with the time change.
Yeah, I was about to say, I will warn you, Paris time is very similar to London time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, from now on, I'm going to need a sound effect of just chalk with some nice little song to it for every time Jack picks the chalk on a future bet.
Jesus.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But after I say that, before I get yours, Will, I am going to, if I was going to bet on the tennis, which I probably will not, I would take it Alcaraz and Swiatek parlay with two chalks.
Nice.
Bro,
You were just shitting on him and that. Okay.
yo, you chalk the entire screen for this, man. Oh my gosh. Hating on me for taking the men's favorite. You go and take the men's and women's favorite?
I can't trust Coco anymore. The time changes get to her.
She looked
Yeah.
horrible in Wimbledon, so I had money on her too. It was just like to win. I think it was for her to just win one set. She lost 2-0. I was like, great.
You know what, Brian, I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna also give you guys a little sleeper dog that I like in this fight. Give me Naomi Osaka. And I know that she's you know, not fighting for the US, which many of you probably thought she would be, but yeah, she's Japanese and she's a dog too. So give me her as a long shot plus 1,600 odds.
I was probably gonna go like just as a straight bet. I'm not really gonna take chalk here, but like, well, actually, no, I'm gonna take chalk with the men's just because like it's literally gonna be Alcaraz or Djokovic, and like I just don't see anything else. So I'm still gonna go take the men's for chalk. I'll say that, and go Carlos Alcaraz. And then for the women, no, I mean, I can't really go into it because Jack was just going on about it. I actually do like Osaka to win because apparently she's actually a lot better on grass. I think it's grass. I don't remember, but
I you know better than I would.
yeah,
You're on your own with that one.
that's fair. Regardless, I like Naomi here. I think she's got good value here, and it's not like too outlandish at plus 1,800.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate that. And before we move on from tennis, I will give out Jasmine Paulini. One, she looked good in Wimbledon, and two, her last name sounds like a nice fruity drink on a hot summer's day, which is probably what I'll be drinking during these Olympics. So, got to be some good juju there.
If you don't want to go chalk with the men, take an Alcatraz or Djokovic. Give me Rafa at plus 1,200. Gotta love the Spaniard.
Yeah, I have a feeling you were going to go to that well, but none of us are going to take Tommy Paul at plus 14,000.
No, no, I don't think the U.S. men are good enough this time around. Maybe next time.
Yeah, well, something the U.S. men are good in, golf. We have the three highest favored golfers on this tournament or no, two highest favored. Morikawa's a close fourth. But Scotty Scheffler's the favorite at plus 310. Then we have Xander, who is coming off two major tournament wins, of course, the Open Championship win at plus 600. Rory's at plus 700, and then everyone else is kind of trailing the pack. Will, I'll go to you first because you are a very big golf guy. Who are you
Yeah.
taking here?
Um, See, it's so different when it comes to like Olympics. There's a few bets I kind of like here. I mean, obviously Scotty plus 310 because I mean he hasn't been as great recently, but he's just always there. Like he's always going to be top five. It's just the chalk play. Xander's not too bad at plus 600. Rory plus 700. No fucking way. I don't care. Do not care. What I really like, he's always been there in the top five, and I could see him maybe potentially breaking out and winning is Ludwig.
Hmm.
A lot of people like Ludwig and plus 1,000. I know it's the fourth lowest odds, or fourth highest odds. But I do really like he's probably the play I like the most at plus 1,000. And then if I were to have a long shot, I would say probably Wyndham Clark at plus 2,900.
I'm happy you took Ludwig because I know Matt not being here would probably be cursing at his speaker or computer wherever he's watching or listening to this that none of us mentioned his guy because I know that's who he's going to be on. But for me, I know we didn't really go over the women, but there is a US golfer named Rose, so I will be taking her for obvious reasons. And on the men's side, Shane Lowry. He looked good in the Open. He's playing good golf, and his odds are pretty high, so I like him. And I'll be also just going with Xander because he's playing the best golf in the world.
Yeah, yeah. My pick is Xander. Thanks for asking, Brian. He is definitely my play. I mean, bro, you got to go with who's hot. I mean, listen, this man is coming off. You said it, two major wins. One is the most recent. You got to go with the hot hand. I love it.
Yeah, also a quick shout out to Tom Kim. He's going to get his major eventually. It's not going to be in these Olympics, but I love me some Tom Kim golfing.
Brian, let me ask you this: Is golf a team sport when it comes to the Olympics, or is
It's
it individual players?
it's individual.
So we could get gold and silver between Xander and Scotty.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Colin has pretty good odds too. He could
Oh
claim the
yeah.
bronze.
yeah.
I'm not counting out Colin. I'm just saying Xander and Scotty. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
good 1-2 punch right there.
yeah. The
The only other
Americans.
country that could do that is Ireland, but I don't see Rory being top three. No way.
Yeah, right.
So something the Americans will definitely win gold in. I say that now. I should probably find some wood to knock on, but
You right now, go right now.
Damn, fucking sturdy ass wood.
yeah, it's a little flower arrangement thing, um, like a little boat with flowers in it. But yeah, um,
Well, Brian,
the
you know what I always say: some real wood and your own. That's how you shake off that juju.
okay. Well, I won't do that because we might get demonetized if we ever get monetized. But
Yeah.
just know I did in spirit. So the U.S. is minus 500 to win the gold at the Olympics. I think if any futures we're looking at here, it's probably to win a medal. But if you guys don't think the U.S. is going to win, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Gold in men's and women's. It's coming home
But what
again.
about what about the 3v3? Because there
The,
is a 3v3 tournament too,
and the
which is
U.S. is not
hilarious.
favored. The U.S. is the second favorite to win
Yeah.
that.
Who's our starting three? Or
It's
who's
a
like our
very, I remember seeing a video on this and it's like the most bizarre, like it's like the most random
Yeah,
starting three.
it's two like former mid-major college guys, and the captain is Jimmer Fredette.
Yeah.
Jimmer could take home the gold for us. I have
Yeah,
full faith in Jimmer.
Canyon Barry, Jimmer Fredette, Kareem Maddox, and Dylan Travis are just Jimmer Fredette leading it off though is like the main guy on the team, which is just okay, I guess.
yeah. I want to say I recognize the name Dylan Travis, but that's also just an NPC, create your player type name. So,
Yeah.
but before we move on from basketball, obviously we're all rooting for the U.S. I think they're going to win. My favorite value of the Olympics, though, lies in another team in this basketball tournament. It's going to be the Germans, the 2023 FIBA World Cup champions, to just medal on the podium. They're plus 235. They're going to have issues. Obviously, France is big. Giannis is there with Greece. Spain's good. Australia's good. There's good teams. Canada, of course. The thing about Germany, they run off-ball screens where the off-ball guy comes very like right off the screen. It's very European play style. They move the ball well, and they can all shoot. Dennis Schroeder becomes Steph Curry in these type of tournaments. The Wagner brothers are very good off the ball and on the ball. And you have this guy, Andres Obst, 41% from three in his career. He's going to be lighting the world on fire in this tournament. The Germans, if you're giving me plus 235 just to medal, I think they can beat any team other than the U.S. in the semis. And say they get that matchup with the U.S. in the semis, I think they can beat Canada. I think they beat France or Serbia in the bronze medal game. So plus 235, those odds, I think that's great value.
Yeah. I definitely think at plus 235, that is great value. I can't. I don't think I'm as convicted. I don't have as much conviction about this pick as you do. I mean, if you're going to ask me who I think the top three are going to be, it's going to be the U.S., Canada, and France. And that is totally discounting Jokic. That's totally discounting
Giannis.
Giannis. But I just think that that's going to be my top three. But at plus 235, I do like the value.
Yeah, I mean, FIBA is such a team-oriented game, which is why I really don't like. I mean, Serbia's good, but Serbia and Greece, just so much is going to be on Jokic and Giannis, and even Canada. Like they played well in the FIBA World Championships. They have a great, talented team, and they're going to be a popular pick to win gold, just because the U.S. is minus 500. I don't see it from Canada.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I just thought it was really funny when you said there's just going to be a lot on Giannis and Jokic's shoulders. Correct me if I'm wrong. They've won like the last five NBA MVPs.
It's a different game. It's not the NBA anymore. It's FIBA.
I know, I
They won
understand
like
that,
four out of
but
the last five, yeah. Besides
four of the
Embiid.
last
Embiid's
five.
the only I think Embiid's the only one that's in there that's like that if you ignore well, not last year because Jokic won it, but if you just ignore that one time where he won it, I think it's like since 2019. I think since Curry won it,
Yep,
I think.
and Embiid was born in Cameroon, spent his childhood in France, but he's playing on Team US, baby.
Yeah. America.
USA.
I guess we'll go to another sport. Or Will, do you have anything on basketball before
Yeah,
we?
I was just gonna say one thing that I liked, and I kind of want to take them. You could probably get away with putting them in both. Um, and they're always a team that's like no matter what, they'll have like a meh roster, but they always find a way to always compete, and that's always Australia. That's Australia to win silver or bronze. For Australia to win bronze, it's plus 750, and then for them to win silver, it's plus 1,000. And I don't know what it is. Like it's always every year where they don't have that great of a roster, but you'll see someone like Patty Mills drop 25 points a game on Team USA. I know they have it's Patty Mills, Joe Ingles, Dellavedova still.
Yeah,
I don't even
Delhi's
know what
there.
team he's still on. Josh Giddey, Dante Exum. It's probably a better roster that they've had over the last few years. I'm trying to think. I think
Yeah, they have Aaron
Will
Baines over
Magne,
there.
Josh Green. I think they actually have like a decent roster, and I can see them at least being in podium.
Yeah, they have a good roster. Just some you didn't mention Dyson Daniels, Aaron Baines.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have a good team, and Delhi plays in the NBL now, by the way.
Oh, that's why I was about to say. I'm like, I saw his name come up, and I was like, dude, I haven't heard that guy's name since like 2019.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
there's a lot of good NBA players out there playing internationally. I think Brian. Hopefully, you know this stat, but I believe there's 41 NBA players playing on the international teams in this Olympics.
That sounds right. I don't know the exact stat, but that definitely sounds right. I mean, Spain doesn't really have many, but besides that, even like South Sudan has JT Thor.
It's like probably like it's like two or three. I feel like on like each team.
Yeah, Japan has Rui and Yuta Watanabe, and then Puerto Rico with the third lowest odds has Alvarado. So there's
Oh, I
guys.
love that dude. He is the most annoying kind of basketball player to play against, which is why I love watching him. But I would hate to play against him.
He fits the Puerto Rican mold of like just the craziness, just so much pride playing for your country. Like he's gonna be fun to watch just running around in the Olympics.
He's the Puerto Rican Patrick Beverly. That's just basically what it is.
It's actually a
Yeah,
great call.
That is basically what it is. And also too, I fucking hate him because I know a bunch of Pelicans fans and they just don't shut up about him. Well, it's not too bad recently, but like last year, 2 years
Yeah.
ago when he was kind of having like some pretty good games with the Pelicans, I never heard the end of it with him. I was like, oh God, shut up.
All right. Well, another sport the U.S. is at least favored on the women's side is soccer, but it's not as big of a gap as we would have liked to see or as it used to be. We're only plus 175 and Spain's right behind them at plus 200. And before we get to the men's side, are you guys rocking with Team USA or
I mean, you gotta. I'm rocking with Team USA in every event this Olympics. I guess
well,
outside of
Well,
like
yeah, no
men,
shit.
but
yeah, you guys
but
get rooting
yes,
interest, but like money
yes.
on
Give me
Rooting
money
for
on the
them,
money
saying
on the
they're gonna
line.
win.
Money on the line? Yes, of course. Put it on USA.
Okay. I mean it's fair. I guess what their whole team is just like that core that they've had for like years and years on is kind of just like slowly aging and just like winding down. I don't really know too much with the USA women's soccer. I mean, I feel like did they win the last? No, they didn't win the last one. Who won
Well,
the
they're
last tournament?
beasts.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the World Cup. I'm thinking of the Women's World Cup where it
No, they
was,
got hosed. They got hosed in the World Cup because they were doing all their political stuff.
yeah, Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, they're all gone now. Even
Dang.
Alex Morgan is
Yeah.
was snubbed. I guess. Yeah, I'll say it. She got snubbed from this roster.
Yeah, that's fair. I would say besides taking USA, I would say like I feel like they're usually always in contention and it's the France team
Hmm.
because they're the third best odds at plus 500. I feel like every year they're usually like always second, third. So if USA goes down, which who knows because this USA women's team is probably not nowhere near as good as it is from years past. France could get it done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the big star left on the U.S. team is Trinity Rodman, Dennis Rodman's daughter. She's very good. I don't really know much, at least as much as I should, about the state of women's soccer after, the Abby Wambachs of the world and the even Hope Solos left.
Damn.
I will say we have the men's tournament, and there's not really much analysis. I don't even know if you're allowed to bet on it because it's a lot of amateurs. But the last time the United States men won a medal in the Olympics was 1904. Now, there were only three tournaments in that, or three teams in that tournament, and two of them were from the United States, but they still medaled. The reason there were only three teams in that tournament was the Russo-Japanese War, and American President Teddy Roosevelt helped end that war by just peace negotiations and discussions. As we all know, Teddy Roosevelt's most famous saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. The 2024 presidential candidates up till a week ago, whenever that news broke, were Joe Biden, who spoke very softly and sometimes incoherently, and Donald Trump, who just posted a Break 50 video with Bryson DeChambeau carrying a bunch of big sticks, golf clubs.
Great video.
So, 120 years later, the United States men are reclaiming a medal at the Summer Olympic Games.
Bro, you trying to pull off some Simpson shit.
It's gonna happen.
Down the rabbit hole. Thank you for watching
Golly.
Down the Rabbit Hole segment with Brian Houck.
Yeah,
Linking the
we
Olympics with Roosevelt. All right. Fuck it, I guess.
yeah, well, we need a sound effect for when Brian does this. If Matt was here, he would have shot the basketball during that
He would have
monologue.
done that or he would have just gone on our. All right, moving on now. Going to the next segment.
On to the next segment.
Yeah.
He would have reminded everybody that they're
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, Brian, I like your logic. U.S. is going to win in soccer. Moving on.
All right, and that is the Olympics presented by Views from Section 400. As we know, there's really nothing else going on in the summer, but Jack, last podcast you asked for it, so you're getting it. The NFL training camps have started up. We are going to talk some football. And
Thank God.
the biggest story so far in training camp, we've had the Brandon Ayuk saga. We had the Amari Cooper kind of saga that finally got resolved. He got an extension. But the newest receiver to not show up for work, Cowboys receiver, Ceedee Lamb.
It was kind of evident that it was gonna happen. He like I remember like rumblings about this happening last year where they're like, oh, he wants to get a new contract and it didn't be. And it's like, all right, well, next off season better get done. And it's like, all right, well, it still hasn't gotten done. And the Cowboys are scrambling because they have absolutely no cap space in this season. Next year they'll have cap space, but they still have to pay him and Dak Prescott, who probably gonna get 60 million. So it was pretty evident. I mean, again, they'll probably work it out. It'll be like the same thing as like maybe not the same thing, but similar to like when Zeke held out in like what 2018, 2019. But it was funny because it was what the whole story was about him being in like I think it was literally him being in somewhere down south. I'm going blank on the Cancun. He was living
Cancun.
in like
Yep.
Cancun or somewhere in Mexico, and that's all we kept hearing about. It was like, oh, Pete's coming back up to Dallas from Cancun or wherever the fuck it was. But yeah, it'll probably him and Ayuk. Ayuk, I think legitimately could get. I don't know. Did you bring up Ayuk?
Yep.
Okay, Ayuk could legitimately get traded. That is possible because not only is Ayuk gonna hold out, Trent Williams is also on a holdout too. That's their two best players on offense, in my opinion, that are both wanting contracts and probably both want significant contracts. So I think Ayuk could get traded. I know Washington's the big one that like Jaden Daniels has been pushing for that, and so does Ayuk because I guess they're good friends. I guess I have no
Yep.
clue. That or Pittsburgh, where like Pittsburgh just doesn't have any like they have Pickens, but that's about it.
I would hate for him to go to Pittsburgh because Arthur Smith would not know how to use him properly.
Good old
Um,
Arthur.
yeah, good old Arthur Smith back on the back with another job some way somehow. He's going to be coaching last year's like 31st or maybe 32nd ranked offense.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
think
kidding.
we're
They
I think we're gonna have to throw a party on this podcast whenever Arthur Smith finally retires.
retires. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Goes to
But
college.
no, you make some good points about these guys. Ayuk, he's in a tough spot with the whole contract thing because yeah, he can hold out, but eventually, it's either sit out or play. But on the other hand, Ceedee's got, I feel like, a little bit more leverage than everybody else that we've
Hmm.
named. I mean, he is legitimately the entirety of their offense. This isn't 2018, as you said. This is, Ezekiel Elliott is not going to be the feature back of the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be Dak. It's going to be Ceedee. Dak is going to reset the quarterback market. Is going to make 60 something $1 million a year. Let's not even worry about that until next year when it happens. But CD's got all the leverage. It's the same exact situation that we just saw Justin Jefferson go through last year,
Yep.
where he wants a new contract. He wants the guaranteed money. If he ends up, holding out like Justin Jefferson did, and then plays out his contract because that's just the kind of guy he is, as Justin Jefferson was, and gets hurt like Justin Jefferson was, that changes everything. And the Vikings did right by JJ, paid him his money even though he got hurt. But CeeDee Lamb, if I'm him, I'm not going out there until I get that deal done. My health is, not worth it. It's you got to get that guaranteed money before you get injured.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. Like, I mean, if the 49ers, Ayuk is at camp, but so he's unhappy, but he's there. And even if he's unhappy and he decides to not play in games, you still have Debo, you still have Christian McCaffrey, you have Kyle Shanahan's offense, like you have weapons there. If you don't pay CD Lamb in Dallas, you have Brandon Cooks, and then you have a retirement home, a terrible running back, and a toddler in your backfield, and you're stuck with Dak Prescott throwing to nothing. So you need to pay CD Lamb, and you're probably gonna have to pay Dak too because they're just stuck with him, and you're not gonna find a better quarterback. But yeah, you need CD Lamb.
Maybe they
Yeah,
might get Michael Gallup out of retirement. You never know.
yeah, maybe he retires so you can come over to the Cowboys, pull a Gronk with
Yeah.
the Patriots and the Bucks. I mean, that's a smart move. But then, I mean, looking back into the 49ers, I didn't realize that Ayuk actually reported. That's smart that he did because you're right. The reality is Christian McCaffrey is the number one, Debo Samuel's the number two, George Kittle's the number three. Ayuk, as good as he is the fourth option in their offense. And on top of that, they just went out and added, the rookie receiver in the first round, Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. I mean, we'll see how good he is, but he can take Ayuk's job. There's no reason that they have to keep Ayuk.
He he
Obviously,
he is injured. They just put they said he's gonna. I mean, I think he'll be ready for the season, but they did say that he's gonna be out multiple weeks. Ricky Pearsall.
who? Ricky?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Ricky! Ricky!
Yeah. They put him on the
Um,
PUP list like a few days ago.
Look, and I'm that's tough to hear. I didn't hear that. But as tough as that is, it shouldn't really matter in the grand scheme of things to the 49ers because if they want to go win a Super Bowl, they have to find a way to keep Ayuk.
They do.
As simple as that. Like if you couldn't do it last year with that roster, losing Ayuk is not going to make your chances any better because the Chiefs only got better, the Eagles only got better. All of these other teams, they're only reloading. The Ravens went and added Derrick Henry. Everybody that was at the top of the top got better.
Yeah, the Ravens have the best quarterback of all time. You see Harbaugh's quote? He said by the time Lamar is done, he will be the best quarterback of all time. The guy that's lost to Patrick Mahomes like 4 times now in the playoffs.
That's bad.
Yeah,
Won like
that's
one playoff game. One. Or maybe did he win one last year? I don't even remember.
I think he has. Yeah, he has two. He beat C.J. Stroud.
Yeah,
he's
best
gotten himself
quarterback
a
of all
first round
time
bye
has
a handful of times.
got 2 playoff wins. Fucking Jalen Hurts has more playoff wins than him, and he's only been in the playoffs twice.
Yeah, I guess while we're while we're on the topic of quarterbacks, last little story I had out of camp. Sam Darnold and Jacoby Brissett are the number one quarterbacks on their respective teams. So it's the classic coach speak of the veteran will be practicing with the ones.
I hate this is the worst part of like when we get to training camp because these depth charts will come out and like people overreact to shit with them so much because I remember last year or maybe it wasn't Bijan Robinson's rookie year people were freaking out because he was listed as third or fourth on the first ever depth chart and people were freaking out and like obviously he wasn't the fourth running back on the depth chart. But every year this happens. I mean, there's a legitimate Sam Darnold could legitimately start week 1. There is that possibility, but what team's Jacoby Brissett even on?
New England, right?
Yeah, he's with Drake May.
Okay,
Drake's
yeah.
not in New
I
England.
doubt Drake. I doubt Jacoby Brissett starts week 1, but I think Drake May will. That'd be crazy, but
Yeah, I'm with you there, Will. You're drafting Drake May at number 3 overall. You're using that kind of capital, bringing that guy in. You expect him to start day one. I don't buy this Jacoby Brissett. And then out in Minnesota, though, with J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, I fully believe that Sam Darnold will start the season. I mean, I think that's what's going to make Justin Jefferson the most happy. And that's all they should really care about right now, making Justin Jefferson happy.
I said it once, I'll say it again. Sam Darnold throws a great ball.
Yeah, and you know what, Brian? You can have that opinion. We're not getting back into that one.
it would be
But yeah,
funny to see the. Sorry, God.
I'm just not buying that Jacoby Brissett out in New England. I can almost guarantee you Drake May will be starting, and that's like Jacoby Brissett's a good veteran backup quarterback. I mean, that's what he's always been. He's always been good at it. He's always been able to come in, fill in, win you a couple games, make plays here and there. He's not going to win you football games per se, but he can make plays that will win you football games.
It would be funny to see Sam Darnold get like the Geno Smith or like treatment where like he's been not ass well no he's been ass where like backup quarterback hasn't done anything in the league, goes to Seattle, starts games, actually has like puts up good numbers, and now he like literally made a legitimate contract over at Seattle and is playing pretty decent over there. Obviously, he's got to compete with a young kid, but I think JJ McCarthy's going to be ass, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and speaking of Geno Smith, he's got our Watching Huskies former offensive coordinator over there now. I think that offense is going to be
That is, yeah, I forgot about that.
really dynamic next season. But we will get further into the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Vikings, the 49ers, and all of your teams this August when we have our divisional previews for the NFL season. So keep an eye out for that. We'll have an official release video with all the dates coming soon. But I don't know about you guys. We've been talking some football. I'm thinking about some things that I missed during football season. I think it's about time we get into our 4 and 400 of the things we missed most about football season.
All right, with the first overall pick in what I miss most about football is just feeling alive again.
That's
Life.
No, life in itself. No, and I feel like that's probably not a real pick. So I'm gonna go with tailgates.
Yeah, tailgates was definitely high up on my list. That one hurts.
There's nothing I love more than tailgates.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I went more about with football season, but I think this plays. I'm just gonna go with the football weather. The nice chill in the air, the nice football weather. I'm sick of the summer heat. I want football weather back.
Wild take, wild first round pick. That's like taking a
Yeah.
kicker in the first round. But Will, what do you got for us?
This so my number one pick will be the best quote in hearing any sports week, but it always hits the
Hmm.
hardest week one, and that
Yeah.
is 7 hours of commercial-free football start now. 100%. That it's so hard. Even sitting there watching the countdown go from like under like 9, 7 minutes, go watching that and having the music go on and everything with the trumpets, you're just oh my God. Can't wait for that. It's
Yeah,
gonna hit
week
so hard.
week
It's like
one,
a
I
Mike
said
Breen bang or whatever. I'm going blank on his name. Sorry.
it is like a Mike Breen double bang.
Yeah.
But Will, I'm with you there, especially week one, waiting for red zone to come on. I will sit there and watch that clock tick for 25 minutes until Scott
Yeah.
comes out and hits us with 7 hours.
And you're getting the
Yeah.
music with it too. It's like, oh,
I just had Scott Hansen, but I'm glad you took it because that's a better pick than just Scott Hansen.
yeah, yeah. Even though like we'll get like the most outrageous things or like I don't even know. Scott like doesn't know what's going on. Just like when Scott like cuts to a game, he has no clue and he's just like fumbling everywhere.
Listen, that man's life force is football.
Yeah. So to go with my second pick, it's gotta be uh, and it's almost that time of the year where we're starting our drafts and we can do a little bit of a plug
Mm,
here. And that's got to be fantasy football. Everyone
yep.
does fantasy football. If you're not doing fantasy football DFS, something's wrong. And as well, we are running a fantasy football league in our league where I think we have what 2 or 3 spots available as of right now.
Yeah, it's either two or three. We're not sure if Matt has actually joined the league yet, but maybe he will once he finds his wife at Sips.
Yeah. Um, as of recording this, but fantasy football has got to be not number one, obviously, but it's got to be up there for me.
Yeah, I had fantasy football too. I was hoping to get that on the wraparound. Looking back on it, I probably should have taken the first round. I could have had football weather in the fourth round. But hey,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on a slump in these things, and I think what's going to take me out of that slump is the first sip of my coffee when I sit down on the couch watching College Game Day.
I respect that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I definitely respect that. All right, I got a double pick here. I'm going with sports betting. I definitely was going to go with fantasy football, but good pick, Will. Give me sports betting. I mean, obviously, we're always betting year round on this and that, but it just hits so much harder during the football season. College
He,
football, NFL football. I love that.
he says after we do a full show taking Olympic futures.
Yeah.
Bro, I'll take a future here and there, but I mean, when it comes to NFL football and college football, I'm watching lines every day, seeing if they're moving in one direction or the other, over unders. I mean, it's just I'm so much more into football. So I'm just so much more into the betting when it comes to football.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
And then with the first pick in the third round, I'm gonna go with the game day foods. You know, the nacho platters, the brisket platters, the wing platters. If you're lucky enough, somebody's dad will get all the boys some Buffalo Wild Wings. That's what I'm talking about. Just the game day food, being able to chill out and just scarf down that good shit.
Yeah, I have my next pick is right along the lines of that. I'm gonna take the text message from your buddies that says where are we watching the games. Nothing, no better feeling. Just figuring out whose couch or what bar you're gonna sit at for 7 hours and just watch some football.
Sometimes when I go out, it's always the best watching like late Saturday, like drunk as shit at home or at a bar, drunk as shit watching like the I don't know most ridiculous West Coast game at like 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. So I would just say like late night late night college games that like going out with your friends or whatever. It's always so nice to be like hammered just sitting there. Like I remember last year when we had a whole Labor Day weekend thing with Brian in
Ocean City, Maryland.
Ocean City, yeah, Maryland. And I remember there was one night that it was like we came back to the Airbnb we're at, and it was like I forget who it was, but it was like Wyoming playing some like
Yeah, it
ridiculous
was like
school. It's in like
Wyoming, Utah State.
quadruple overtime. It was just the most absurd game you can think of. So just give me like the late night college games. And then I'll go back to the NFL and just like nothing is better for me than just seeing like supporting a team and watching like just the first touchdown. Like I don't know why always specifically will remember. Like I'm an Eagles fan. I always remember like the first touchdown of like every year. And like I don't know. It always just I don't know. It's a weird one for me, I guess. But like I don't know. I don't know. It's
I like
always
that.
awesome to see that.
Yeah, I like
I'm going a
that.
little stale on the 3-4, except the three is kind of relatable for a lot of people, but the four is maybe a little
No, I like the first touchdown of the year. It's popping your cherry.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess I'll finish this off here. So I do have another, um, I guess, debatable pick here, and I will confirm with you, Jack. So you took tailgates. Can I take getting drunk by noon?
Yeah, those things are not you know, directly correlated. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're drunk by noon, the odds of you being at a tailgate are probably pretty high, but you don't
Yeah,
have to be at a tailgate. I've been drunk by noon at the beach. So, fair
I got
enough.
you. Yeah,
All
then
three of
my
us
my full pick is going to be getting drunk by noon and it being acceptable.
all three of us have something involving getting hammered in our list, which is just great, which is ideal.
It's on brand, right?
Yeah.
Only up in the nosebleeds.
We're not in section 100 because we're too busy buying $13 beers up in section 400.
Yeah, well, we're saving all that money from SeatGeek. Code views
Yeah,
from 400.
exactly. Um, all right, to wrap up this 4 and 400, I'm glad that we decided Will doesn't get the entirety of Red Zone because I want the witching hour. And as this draft comes to an end, I think the witching hour is perfect because I think that's the one that's going to put me over the top in this list in these rankings, and you guys are just going to get fucked by the witching hour.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Mm,
See,
Will's like,
I mean,
witching hour is the best part of football,
see,
where
it
wits
is
become
it
lawsuits.
is.
the
I know.
the
That's
issue.
another Scott Hansen. Hey, that's another Scott Hansen line right there. So I don't even know if you can count that.
The only issue I have with the witching hour is if your team is playing in that 1 o'clock window and it's a close game in the fourth quarter, your full attention is on that game.
I mean,
Wait.
I don't know
Oh,
what
oh
year
yeah, yeah.
you're in. I don't know what year you're in, but this is 2024. If you're not running more than one screen on game day, you're doing game day wrong.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I
you
said
gotta
full
have red
At
attention.
zone
work,
going.
people are working. Well, may I work,
You
unfortunately.
gotta have red zone on this screen, and you gotta have your team on this screen. If you're not doing it that way, some people got the third screen, the fourth screen. If you're not doing it that way, you're not committed enough.
I mean, listen, I got the Giants on the TV and Red Zone on my computer, but when the Giants are in a close game in the fourth, at least in past years before this nonsense started happening,
Yeah.
my full attention was on the TV there, and then like every commercial, I'd look at the computer.
Well, the Giants blow, so you don't really have that You don't really have that problem. So
Yeah, and Brian, don't worry. We'll let you know. What setup is the best during week one, so that way you can come back in full force for week two.
I
that is
appreciate
true.
that while I'm out picking apples and pumpkins. Yeah, well, I will have to vlog my travels, so keep an eye out for that on Instagram, or I'll be live on a bunch of our social medias throughout the first NFL Sunday. I am allowed to watch college football, just not NFL. But unless you guys have anything else, I think that'll do it for today's show.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, well, we appreciate everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed my hosting. I tried my hardest. For Jack, for Will, for Brian, it's been Views from Section 400. We're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost football season. I'm out.
If you're listening to this, 2 more shows until football, baby.
Now in the mix with DJ Savage.
4th and 31.
Okay.
Dude, you're never coming back on here ever again.
Yeah.